Childhood is to be savored. It is true that youth is wasted on the young. And if you are lucky, you get to realize this and regain some of the wonder of your childhood when you grow up and actually work for a living. What if I told you that your work as an attorney, adjuster, or claims professional can be filled with the wonder of childhood? I'm going to take you today on another adventure. Today, you're not the captain of a ship. You're not the painter. You're not the sled master. No, today you're just a child, seeing the wonder of the world and deciding how you will fit into it. Let's go back to 1964, to my childhood. I looked up at the stage. He had a black cape with a red satin lining, white gloves, had a black wand in his hand, and that top hat. This guy commanded the stage. All eyes were upon him, and I, 10-year-old Tony, was mesmerized. I didn't want to even blink. I was there to see magic. I was there to feel the thrill of experiencing the unknown. And what was he going to do? Turn a rabbit into an elephant? Make my friend Frank disappear? Boy, there was just electric in the air that day. Even my mom and dad were excited. And I could tell because Mom had put on her Sunday dress and Dad was wearing that cologne I can still smell. Even now, 60 years later, we're in South Brooklyn, New York, in the 1960s. A bustling neighborhood of first and second generation Italian immigrants. The fruit and vegetable vendor still came around in a horse-drawn cart. You could get ice in the summer, scraped from a block and drenched in flavored syrup, all delivered to you on a bicycle-driven cart by some guy who didn't speak any English. There was always something fascinating going on. It was, to say the least. And what if I told you that the excitement of living in that bustling neighborhood had long-lasting consequences on my life? It directly relates to me being here today. I was always longing for excitement. I saw being a lawyer as a magical profession, full of excitement and importance. And even today, as a mediator, I look for the excitement and the magic in this situation. But I'm jumping ahead. We were at the local movie theater on Court Street in downtown Brooklyn, New York. Court Street would later in my life play a much bigger role. It was aptly named because it went right by the Kings County Supreme Court building, place that I would practice in as an attorney and spend many hours litigating cases. This courthouse was only a few blocks from the Lido Theater I now sat in, mesmerized as a 10-year-old. Boy, did I love that place. I had already seen some movies there. I remember one called The Mad World. That was the first movie I ever saw in a theater. I had also seen a movie called Thunderball, a James Bond movie. That was amazing, and I became a lifelong fan of James Bond movies. That day, I remember vividly sitting in the row with my friends and parents. My dad had bought popcorn and bonbons. The bonbons were ice cream that was melting in my hands. I remember imagining what it would be like to grow up to be a magician. Would all my life be about wonder and excitement? Could I make people happy and laugh and things disappear? I was excited to find out today at that magic show. There was Stanley, my friend whose dad had a big old Cadillac that we loved to drive in, and Sal and Jenny and some other friends. I was hoping that after the show, Dad would take us to Sam's restaurant just a few blocks away. These were the days when a quarter could buy you a slice of pizza and a soda. The great Mancini was commanding the stage. He made references to sounds, to places that I had never heard of. He made me listen, and he made me focus. He pulled a never-ending handkerchief from his mouth, a couple of white birds from a hat, and of course there was the obligatory rabbit. All the while he was saying these funny things. Everyone was laughing, but me, I was watching more than anything. I was longing for the incredible, the astounding. I wanted my heart to beat uncontrollably. I wanted to experience wonder. I loved every minute of this. I said to myself, I know this is happiness. This is endless fun and laughter with friends and family. To be young and think all life would be like this forever. But I'll tell you, at that time, knew where I was meant to be. It was right there. Life would never be the same for me after that magic show. I would spend the rest of my life trying to recapture the wonder of moments like that, the wonder of the day. So later in life, I would go to Yankee baseball games and Giants and Jets football games. That day started my addiction to the magic of events. To me, the players, the entertainers, they were all magicians, and I was a pushover for that wonder. And I saw and felt the wonder in all those moments. Remember Court Street? I told you it led to the courthouse. As a kid, I would venture down Court Street and see the lawyers going in and out of the building, briefcases in hand, always hurrying, always looking busy, and always looking important. They had that briefcase, that magic briefcase, just like the great Mancini had his magic box. And lawyers, they made magic too. Their magic was to help people who needed help. I became addicted on wanting to become an attorney. And when I finally did become a lawyer, I loved the excitement of that job too. The excitement of picking juries, waiting on a verdict, the win at all costs attitude, arguing motions in court, fighting to the finish, winner take all. I loved it all. That is, until all that excitement took its toll and landed me in the hospital. Well, I was incapacitated for a while, unable to perform in the courtroom. I lost the wonder in my life for a while. It took a while to focus, redefine, prepare, build new relationships. But when I did, the wonder started to return. And the magic, it did come back. That's what I wanted to share with you. Suppose you could recreate the magic that you felt as a child, the wonder you felt when experiencing something good and great for the first time. Imagine if you could create this in your work life now. Can you imagine what that would feel like? Work had become so mundane to me. But after that heart attack, after trying to go back, I wanted to rediscover the fun and wonder that I had felt as a child. Imagine what that would do to your process to go to work every day and how it would make you feel. Dwell on that for a moment. What if I told you that you had the power within you to do this? That you could create the magic in your life again. Maybe it was the circus that came to town or the skating rink. Maybe it was going to an amusement park. And maybe it was just reading a good book. The point is, you can create that magic in your life again. And when you do, you will experience wonder and happiness in your work life and in your personal life. And you may even understand and feel like me. This feeling was just an exceptional feeling of being special. So what does the great Mancini in my day at the Lido in the 1960s have to do with mediations now, with my life, with your life? Nothing if you're just looking on the surface, but look just a little deeper. And in that deep look, that deep dive, you will find some profound truths in the personal injury game that we, the attorneys, claims adjusters, the other claims professionals, call work. What if you saw your work as creating magic, magically helping a hurt person get whole again, magically helping someone get on their feet again, magically helping someone provide for their family again? See your work as claims adjusters and attorneys in the personal injury field that way, probably because I did your work for so many decades, saw the problems you faced, and I achieved some results in that regard. Most people outside of our industry, they don't see us that way. I'm not even sure what they see us as, but there are commercials for other companies that say, hey, I'm sorry if I sound like a lawyer. I don't even like lawyers. Or insurance companies, what a dread to work with. That's how people outside our business see us. That's how they portray us. They see us as impediments to achieving happiness. And as I've told you before, not too many people like lawyers and claims adjusters. The truth is, if we in this business don't care about each other, no one else is going to care about us. If you realize it and accept it, you can be the change. You can start to change it. And that's how I see mediation. That's why, after all was said and done, after my career as a lawyer, after the heart attack, after the depression, I became a mediator. Mediation made me the magician again. It brought the magic back into my life. Listen to what you as attorneys and adjusters have to say, and I make you focus on what the others have to say. I ask you to listen to me, and from all of that mix of our relationship, what we developed during the course of time leading up to the mediation and the mediation itself, help you craft a solution that can border on the amazing. I may not be the great Mancini, but maybe I am the less than great Mascolo. And I can help you take a lot of your cases and get rid of them. I can help you take a lot of your cases and close those cases, bring them to resolution. The idea would be to do it as early as possible. I can help you maximize the return that you can get early on in a case. The reason that a mediator can do things like this is because a good mediator doesn't look at the case where it's at that particular moment in time, but the mediator looks at where it can ultimately be. In that sense, mediators see the future. That is the magic of a good mediator. The mediator takes the case that is being presented, imagines its future, and then portrays that future to each of the parties and helps them craft a solution that looks to the future. That's what I try and do on every case that I hear. And if you'd like to hear more about how to tame this beast of personal injury work, give me a call. Reach out to me. www.smarttomediate.com/book a call. It's free. We can spend 20 minutes and I can tell you how I can make a happier life for you and your clients. I can help you reduce your caseload, reduce costs, manage that beast of your caseload. If you like what you're hearing here, please subscribe, share. Together, by developing a relationship and a network, like-minded people, we can make a difference. We have been talking about mediations, magic, magicians, mediators. And what if I told you that there is real magic in mediations? It's just not how you may think it happens. Let me give you an example from one of my own mediations. A difficult case to resolve because of the facts, the law, and the very differing views as to value by each of the parties. It was a case assigned to me by the New York State Supreme Court as part of its presumptive mediation program, and it's a case that mediators take on a pro bono basis with an agreement to resolve it within an hour and a half, and then if it was to go past an hour and a half, the mediator is allowed to charge a fee that would be agreed on by the parties. I will tell you that for the most part of the last 2 years, I have never once gone past the hour and a half actual mediation time. Any prep time is not considered part of the mediation, and therefore it is not compensable no matter what. And I will tell you that that is probably the most important part of the case. So even though I'm going to be working pro bono on the mediation and on the entire case and give them an hour and a half free, I will spend on the pre-mediation preparation. And I will treat that mediation as if it's the same as if they were paying me for the mediation, because resolution of the case is my main goal. A closed case is my main goal. A closed case is how I help the attorneys and adjusters, something that I truly want to do. Don't get me wrong, I don't mind getting paid either. And you certainly can hire me as part of a paid process by going to one of the companies that I work for or hiring me directly, just reaching out to me, as I'll give you an opportunity to do at the end of this. You just got to go to www.smarttomediate.com/book a call, and we'll get your case on too. Anyway, back to this mediation. So the process began. Step one was to do the pre-mediation meeting, and I did that. That gave me some clues as to how I could resolve the case. I had already downloaded, as part of the process, the e-court file, and there was plenty of information there for me to work from. There was pleadings, bills of particulars, evidence from motions, documentary evidence, there were depositions, orders, and the like. I got a really good idea of each party's position on the case. And it was then that I started to formulate the plan that I was going to use to resolve the case, so that at the mediation, when I resolved it, it was going to look like a magic show, but it wasn't. Really, I was preparing for that during the pre-mediations. Step one, step two, the e-court file. Step two, meeting with the pre-mediations, go over it, and then understanding the facts, the law, everything that might be important in this particular case. Age of plaintiff was important, type of accident was important, the venue trends where the case was pending, and the type of case it was in that venue, where it was in the litigation process, how close to trial was it really. All of these things were part of the plan and process that I was going through. Those individual discussions were held within a week of the case being assigned to me. And then the actual mediation was set up for 3 weeks later. During that time, that 3 weeks between the pre-mediations, where I'd found out a lot and developed a plan, and the actual mediation, well, during that time, I found ways to implement my plan. And the way to implement my plan was to contact the parties by phone or Zoom on a couple of occasions with some questions about the case or something that I couldn't exactly understand they were trying to say in their affirmation on a particular motion. That was important to have those discussions because it led us to the very important step of developing a relationship together. Now, this is an invaluable tool. Again, in the magic process, which makes things at the end look as if it's magic, but it really isn't. We were developing this relationship because the development of the relationship between me and the parties, and I even fostered a relationship between the parties themselves that didn't exist by giving them a reason to speak to each other. By creating that relationship, I was laying the groundwork for the settlement at the mediation. I guess you guys, you realize now you're getting a clear idea of the magic of a mediation. It's really not magic at all. It's just process. It's good process. If the process is good, then the result of the mediation will seem magical, but it's not. It would only seem magical to the untrained eye. To those of us like you and I and our counterparts, we know that mediation and resolution of cases, it doesn't ever happen without true work on everyone's part. And at the end of that mediation, I would say that the parties will recognize and say, I understand what was going on now, why he was so involved in this case, because he was committed to what I was committed to. And that's going to take me to the fourth step on this case, which is the mediation itself. So I utilized everything I learned about the case and about the attorneys and about the adjusters, everything at the mediation itself. One of the most important parts of this particular case in getting it resolved was that both sides wanted to resolve it before trial. Both sides wanted a closed case. And that coincided exactly with my goal, which was to close the case. So there we were. All three of us wanted the case resolved. We had common ground, and I used that common ground in every discussion I had during that mediation with each of the parties alone and together to pound home that common goal of resolution of the case. Now, at some point, we agreed. It seemed magical. Poof, it's settled. And it may have looked like a snap of the fingers, but in reality, it just looked that way. The magic, if any, was that each party and the adjuster had the same goal. That was to close the case, and we did that at the mediation. Book a call at www.smarttomediate.com.